So I want to go through our 6 foundational exercises to every training program. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips that you can keep in mind whether you're doing them body weight, you're adding weight, or we're doing jumps or explosive movements with it. So the first movement we're going to start with is a squat. Now with a squat, everybody's stance is going to be different, but a couple of cues I like to see are with your knees. As you lower, your knees should go out with your feet. So your knees shouldn't cave in this way. We want to stay out over your feet this way and then stand back up. Second thing we want to look at is what are we doing with our back? If our back is rounding forward as we sit forward, we're putting a lot of stress on that low back. So be sure chest stays up, you sit straight down with the hips and back up. Second move we want to look at is any type of push. That could be a push-up, that could be a dumbbell bench press, that could be any type of overhead press. The first thing we're going to look at, because we are really heavy in this overhead movement as throwers or pitchers, is where is our elbow position in relation to our shoulder. For any type of what's called a horizontal movement, like a push-up, we're going to keep that elbow below shoulder height. We want to avoid push-ups out here, bench presses out here, and we want to be in our strongest push position. So if I'm going to be in a push-up here, I'm going to have my elbows a little bit tucked to the sides, about 45 degrees away, keeping them there. The second thing we want to look at is what is our core doing? Softball is a very core heavy sport. We want to think about squeezing and engaging that core through that motion so that as a push-up, our hips don't lag behind us, and that in a bench press, we aren't pushing too much into our back. So if it's a push-up, we aren't looking like this with our push-ups. Third movement we're going to take a look at is a hinge. Hinge is the base of any deadlift. It might be called a good morning, a body weight hinge, but we're going to look at number 1, foot position. Feet are going to start right underneath the hips. This gives us the position where we can hinge back and use as much of our glutes and hamstrings as we can. Once we tip back, we're going to be looking at how we can push our hips straight back and straight forward. I see a lot of people who want to push their butt back and down, which I get in softball. That's more comparable to your ready position. But we want to push our hips right back behind us, keeping that back nice and flat. And at this bottom position, chest should be parallel to the floor. When we stand back up, back stays flat, everything comes through. Our fourth motion we're going to look at is any type of pull or row. Similar to any push movement, we're going to look at elbow position. First and foremost is we're going to keep elbows below shoulder height. If we're going to do any type of row variation, we're going to think about keeping elbow about 45 degrees away from the side, making sure that our shoulder blades are squeezing together. The second piece to that comes to our wrist position in relation to the elbow. Sometimes in any type of dumbbell row, we'll get really narrow with our wrists here. That puts a lot of stress up on this elbow, up on this shoulder as we row. Elbow should stay below or above the wrist as we are rowing here. If we change the angle of that row, we're still going to keep that same position, elbow right over wrist. Next movement we're going to look at is a lunge. Lunge or any type of single leg movement. The first thing we want to look at is where does that knee fall in position to our toes. Too often I see people where their knees come way out in front. They're putting a lot of weight in the ball of their foot, and that heel comes off the floor. We want to be sure weight stays in the middle of the foot so that when we drive down, we're pushing right down through the middle of our foot. Another thing to look at with foot position is making sure that knee stays over second or third toe, and that's going to help keep this alignment between your knee or your toes, your knees, and your hips. Oftentimes, specifically with females, I see a lot of knees inside of hip and toes. If we can be sure that this is lined up, that's going to really protect our knees and set up our hips for stronger growth long term. Now let's talk about core exercises. Core exercises could be things like planks, hollow body holds, or an exercise we're going to cover is any type of loaded carry, a farmer carry or suitcase carry. We're going to start with a plank first, and we're going to take a look at that core position. So elbows are right underneath the shoulders, and we're going to think about bracing and tucking the ribs towards your hips. My best analogy to give is thinking that somebody's going to punch you in the gut. You're going to squeeze that core nice and tight. Make sure you're well braced in this position. The last piece is any type of loaded carry, which we're going to use for building grip strength. That we have to ensure that our shoulders stay stacked over our hips. Oftentimes we'll lean towards that weight, or we'll start to shift, pulling that weight up to counteract what is going on We want to stay stacked, tight through the core, shoulders over hips, holding in this position. Hopefully, these tips can give you that strong foundation you need for all of the movements to come. This is just a base foundation that we're going to build from, help you create your individualized program, and make sure that you get the best success in this program as possible.